Good morning, good afternoon, and evening, baseball fans. Welcome back to the Barstool Baseball Show. It's the ALDS preview. It's Carl. I'm here with Chris Castellani and WhiteSoxDave. Dave, welcome to the show. It's good to see you.
It's good to be back. Talk some baseball. I've watched the playoffs. It's been a minute since I've tuned in on baseball, but I have been watching the playoffs, so it's good to be back.
Boys, this is the first time I've heard even like an ounce of positivity in WhiteSoxDave's voice. Anything baseball related. This is a roster wars edition. I think this sets up very well for your skill set to talk about the exact like nuanced specific differences between baseball players. We've done a couple of these shows before down the stretch, and I've been waiting to launch these for playoffs. So I'm very excited to do this. This is Twins versus Astros. ALDS preview. Castellani, you're a huge Astros guy. Get that out of the way. Say, like, people should know that you're an Astros fan.
I will remain unbiased with my selections regardless. I'm a national baseball analyst, but yes, I do. The Houston fans are good to me. They scratch my back, I'll scratch theirs. But it's playoffs. I'm a man of objectivity. I look forward to it.
All right, let's get into it, guys. I want to start off with the starting pitching. Number one on the lineup card for a reason. It's the most important position. The Twins have an extremely underrated starting pitching staff, and I think the Astros have an extremely overrated pitching staff, but I'll let you guys decide. WhiteSoxDave, which one would you rather have?
I'm taking the Astros all day long. Pablo Lopez, kind of a horse a little bit. Sonny Gray, though, like, I don't know, he's never really been a big game pitcher, and I know he's in a flyover city now, and he's done well there, but, I mean, if those two, like, Sonny Gray is going to be starting game one, correct?
No, because they already used both of them in games 1 and 2, so it might be. I have to double check the matchup.
Is it going to be Ryan?
I think it would be Ryan, and then they would go Lopez 2, Gray 3. I think because of the case.
I'm now. Granted, I just said I haven't checked in on baseball. He might have had a little off stretch or something, but I think Framber Valdez is the filthiest fucking pitcher that nobody talks about in baseball, and that he's built for postseason baseball. Not that for the same reasons, kind of, that Pablo Lopez, I do think would be a good postseason pitcher. Framber Lopez, and obviously Justin Verlander, like, he's been there, done that a million times over.
Would you value been there, done that more than, because this is a real good sticking point between where the Twins and the Astros are in their rotations, because the Astros have the been there, done that. Right now, the Twins are first or second. They finished the season like first or second in nearly every starting pitching category. Like, you fucking name it.
Twins, I do prefer talent over experience, as Jim Leland used to say. However, I mean, it's not like Verlander is in the twilight of his career. I know he's 100 years old, but I mean, his talent is still very, very much. I mean, it's not too distant from what it was at the peak of his career right now. So, and Framber Valdez, like, I think that is just such a filthy 1-2 punch that I don't know if Minnesota's, even if I'm wrong and Minnesota's starting pitching is better than I'm giving them credit for right now, I don't think it stacks up next to those two guys.
To me, it's closer than people may point out, because I really do like Gray and Lopez a lot. They've had excellent seasons. They pitched really well in the wild card round. But ultimately, I don't want to overthink this. I think you put these matchups head-to-head with each other. You got Verlander, you got Valdez. I also trust Houston's 3 and 4 more than I'll trust Minnesota's 3 and 4. Joe Ryan's never pitched in October. So it's actually closer than we think, but I'm going Houston starting.
You know, Castellani, I was going to bring that. Thank you for calling yourself out for overthinking this, because I was going to say I don't want to Castellani myself. I don't want to wrap myself in a pretzel trying to figure out, am I going to get this right or wrong by taking the Astros over the Twins? Because if you do the research on the starting pitching, over 162, what the Twins did is pretty remarkable. I mean, they used basically 6 starting pitchers. 4 of them made at least 29 starts. Remarkable depth, and then the consistency. But now, yeah, like, Framber was a little up and down at the end of the year, had some great moments, had some duds. Verlander's 47 years old. fuck it, taking the Astros still. Just taking it until I get burnt, right? Until we get burnt.
Until they prove otherwise, you have to take the Astros.
So let's just go to catcher for a second then. I don't think this shouldn't be hard. Castellani, was it Maldonado for the Astros? And I want to do Ryan Jeffers for the Minnesota Twins, who is a homegrown drafted guy, big, milky, 6'4", 240, strong country boy. This is his first season with regular playing time, and he finished with like a 900 OPS. You guys watch a lot of Twins baseball, so I'm interested if this guy jumped on your radar anytime when you guys cross paths in the second half.
I just like power hitting catchers, and I like power hitting catchers in October. I mean, Houston gets away with having Maldonado in that lineup because the lineup is deep and they need the defense. But when we get to October, and we'll talk more about it when we talk about some other teams as well, having a lineup where 1 through 9, there's no easy out, I think is such an advantage. I think having somebody like Jeffers in that lineup as a catcher, I like him a lot. You have Vasquez as kind of the defensive replacement as well. So I'm giving the edge to the Twins here. I know Yainer Diaz has had an excellent year as well for Houston, but Dusty doesn't play him. He barely plays for some reason. So I'm going Jeffers and the Twins get the advantage.
I'm going to look at this in two ways. In a vacuum, it's obviously Jeffers. He's a good ball player. He's just a good ball player. But there is a very, very, I think, obvious reason that Martin Maldonado is year over year the Houston Astros starting catcher in spite of probably having a 293 OPS. It's because he anchors that he's the linchpin of that rotation and of that staff as a whole. And like you said, that they can get away because they have the dudes in their lineup. They can get away with, an automatic out for the most part. However, and I say this without having an ounce of statistical proof to back it up. I've watched a lot of Astros baseball, playoff baseball over the last 5-7 years or whatever, 10 years now. And he has had a lot of big hits. And I know there's nothing that says that he's going to keep doing that. And that's like a luck thing. And there's nothing you can quantify that. But like right now, I do think I would go with Martin Maldonado in spite of him being like, statistically bad, for all the reasons that I just said. It's not like a experience thing as much as like you take his out so long as he keeps that starting rotation in check. And if that starting rotation shuts down that Twins offense, I don't think the Twins starting rotation is shutting down, dude after dude in the Astros lineup.
Okay, let's go over to first base. Jose Abreu versus the Minnesota Twins platoon. Who do you guys have?
I went with the platoon here, and I wanted to actually consider Abreu because I think that people buried Abreu really quickly, and I get it. He had an awful first half. 760 OPS in the second half. That will play really well in that lineup. You bat him 7th. He's always had pretty good bat-to-ball skills, good October numbers, but I like the way that Baldelli has used that first base platoon, and ultimately, I could try to kind of cherry-pick some of the numbers. Abreu's had the worst year of his career. I mean, he came alive a little bit in the latter part of the season. I think the Twins, the way that they've kind of rocked things and, played the matchups there, I like that just slightly, though it wouldn't shock me if Abreu does something kind of neat in October. I feel like he's hungry, but just looking at the numbers, I'm going with the platoon in Minnesota.
Yeah, unfortunately, I would probably have to go with the platoon too. I want to see Pito go on a tear this postseason, and I would love to see him win a World Series. For both personal reasons, I love him, and for spite reasons, I want the White Sox noses to be rubbed in it any way possible. However, he is on the twilight of his career. He did have a good second half. I mean, he inched closer to 20 bombs again. I don't think he hit a bomb until like fucking June. So he paced for 35 bombs in the second half. Maybe a few days, recalibrate, reset, will be good for him entering October. But I just love Kirilloff. He has such a sweet swing, and I hate seeing him when he's playing against the Sox. I hate watching him hit because I always think he's going to do damage. And I think that platoon's just enough to edge out Abreu for this series, I would say.
This is the first time we get to talk about the way that Twins use their platoons. Or I should say the bulk of their roster. They've got 16 players that have made at least 250 plate appearances this season. Of the 16 players, 11 have an OPS over 100 or 105. The 5 that don't are all around 94, 95. They got one guy on the lineup, I think, who's in the roster. Of the 16 guys that have made 250 or more plate appearances for the Twins, there's only one of them has an OPS that's like Miguel Rojas bad. Meaning, in these big moments, I think there's some advantage getting into October. I shouldn't say it like that. There's an advantage at this time in the season when you're not relying on 2 or 3 bats in the lineup. The Twins don't really have those spots. It's not like you're waiting for someone's, to carry the fucking team. It's like everybody's ready to play.
They're all just they're kind of piranha. Like Hawk used to say, they're kind of just little piranhas. That's when the Twins are at their best, I think.
Did you call it Piranha E?
Piranha E.
Oh, like Piranha E. Oh.
Piranha E, yeah. Like Hawk used to call the Twins the piranhas because like every little spot in the order had just a little cocksucker at it. And like that's kind of like Twins team right now is kind of a Piranha E version of like the old Twins teams that were very good.
I should have said this beginning. This is like an old school Ozzie Guillen White Sox team.
It kind of is, yes. It kind of is.
Good starting pitching, underrated. Especially if you're a fan of the team, you're just carrying a grudge. Like, you don't know how good these. Wait till you guys play us.
Yeah, right. That's how the fan base has been. Like, I'm sure you guys have been getting tagged. Not one person in the preseason like panel thing we did predicted the Twins to win the AL Central. It was all Guardians and White Sox, and that did not happen. And Twins fans they kind of got that chip on their shoulder. Like, wait till you see these guys. They're pretty good. And they were right. I was wrong. It's a testament because of that lineup, and they're just like a little bunch of pricks.
It's a good baseball club. It really is.
It is. It's a good, solid baseball team.
So second base isn't really close. This is Jose Altuve. He's a generational second baseman, one of the best second basemen of all time. You'd be insane. However, it's worth talking about it. Do you like Julian? Is Polanco a second? Anybody have an idea of who's playing second base this week?
I think it's going to be Julian's spot now. I mean, he's been feeling himself the last month or so. It's tough because I think it's one of those instances where I like the Twins in that spot. Like, I think that they have a good thing going. Well, you're talking about a future Hall of Famer who had an awesome year, by the way. It's not like Altuve is past his peak. I mean, he just continues to put up a 900 OPS every single season. So it's hard to really dispute it, but I do think the Twins are comfortable with where they're at. You just can't. I mean, you're talking about Altuve. Dude's been the man for them. He's one of the best players they've ever had. You got to go.
Yeah, I mean Altuve, and he's a fucking machine in October. It's Jose Altuve all the way. Best second baseman I've ever seen. And I do like Polanco and the little scrappy guys the Twins are throwing around. Polanco's a good baseball player. I would take Polanco all day long at second base for 99% of the team's baseball.
All right, so from Altuve, let's go to third base. It's just like one Astros legend to another. We don't need to do a comparison in too much substance. It's Alex fucking Bregman, right? Like,
I mean, are you riding the hot hand? I know I'm playing a lot of devil's advocate here, but I mean, Royce Lewis has been fucking insane. He's been on an absurd stretch. I know you can't actually argue it. I'm just, mind you, cherry picking ways to, kind of, I want to shine some light on Royce Lewis is what I'm doing because he's been insane. However, Alex Bregman, I mean, he's like, it's a lot of the same reasons. Been there, done that. I mean, he's one of the absolute best third basemen in all of baseball. I don't think you can, after 300 at bats or so for Royce Lewis, you can give him the nod in this exercise. However, he has been fantastic, and credit where it's due.
He's an electric player, and I'm glad he's healthy now. Fine. I mean, he had some brutal luck. I think 2 knee injuries. But, man, you talk about a guy who is, despite making multiple all-star teams, I would argue is kind of underrated as Alex Bregman. I mean, Alex Bregman's going to be one of those guys, Carl and I have talked about it a little bit, that when you get to the end of his career, you're going to be like, whoa, Alex Bregman has 74. Like, he just he's durable, stays healthy, keeps getting it done. Great fielder, great power hitter, gets on base a ton. And that's one thing I really value in October. Are you seeing a lot of pitches? Are you working pitch counts? Because every inning is a high leverage inning. He does that about as well as anybody. So you got to go with the experience, got to go with the guy who's got it done. For his whole career, there was not even 30 yet.
In any given moment, the Twins can have a very good matchup at third base and move guys around and shit. Like if Royce Lewis is DHing and they move Polanco over to third so that Julian can play second. But I would much rather have Alex Bregman. Like I don't even know. This is one of those, I want to argue this as much as I can, or I want to see both sides, but sometimes there isn't one of these. So shortstop, this one is very hard for me. Between Jeremy Pena and Carlos Correa, this is just an epic storyline here. Castellani, why don't you bite into this one first? How do you size up this matchup?
I do like Pena, and look, given what Pena's done over the last year plus, especially last October, it's hard to pick against him. But, you know, man, I know he's had the worst offensive season of his career. To me, there is something about Carlos Correa that goes well beyond the stat sheet, and I think the American League wildcard round proved that. He was responsible for arguably the 2 biggest plays in that series, just a phenomenal recovery to get Bichette at home plate in Game 1, and then the pickoff of Vladdy Jr. in Game 2. I love having him in the clubhouse for a playoff series. And he had a big RBI single as well in Game 2 to break the 0-0 tie at the time. Look, Pena is obviously capable of getting red hot. We saw it happen last October, but I've always been a big Correa guy. I'm giving him the slight edge here because part of it is, and you brought it up a little bit not with Altuve, but with somebody else, kind of where they fit into the lineup. I don't know if Pena would be as dynamic of a player if he played for another team. Whereas I think that where Correa fits into any lineup, could be a great leader, great defender, even if the bat isn't going. I think he's made for these moments, giving the slight edge to Carlos.
Yeah, and he's just a little bit of a fuck too. So even though he had, the most success in his career, both as a team and individually, with the team he's now playing against, he wants to shove it down his former team and former friends' throats. He's a competitor. Not to say that Pena is not, but Carlos Correa, just by watching him over the years in October that he lives and breathes for these moments. And like Chris said, he has no issue at least attempting to put the team on his back. And I expect a huge series out of him. We'll see. But I think that the Twins go as he go. And if they have any chance in this series, he knows that he has to be, vintage primo Carlos Correa. So we might see that out. And for that reason, I would roll the dice with Correa in this series.
Yeah, I'm taking Correa here. Slam dunk. Pena has done everything you can do as a young shortstop. You're still not. And I know Carlos Correa is bad. Whatever the arguments are, that's how good Carlos Correa is. That's such a bad argument. I don't care how bad he is. Then just taking him because he's so good. Don't care. Left field, let's say, is Joey Gallo the left fielder? Is he going to DH?
They platoon so fucking much. It's annoying. I guess this is another situation where we have to go Gallo and somebody else. So Gallo and Larnach probably together. I would guess.
I'll do this. Let's make this a little easier. I'll call it a draw between left field and center field because I don't want to do that. Is Michael Taylor good enough to do a draw here? Because they're gonna outmatch up. I think they outmatch up in left field.
Who are the Astros gonna have going? They'll have Brantley or Jolts.
DH.
Well,
why don't we just do the outfield groups? How about this? What outfield group would you rather have?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and we can name
The Twins have fucking broken me in this exercise. I have not stumbled and fumbled and bumbled my way through a lineup card. I have no fucking clue what the Twins are going to do. There's a message for the audience as we get ready for the ALDS. Quit that with you. I have absolutely no idea what the Twins are going to look like. And if you were a starting pitcher and you had to prepare for a lineup or whatever, I have no fucking clue how you'd visualize that. Outfield groups, I don't know. You Astros, right? No.
Yeah, I mean, I love the year that Chas McCormick has had. I love Kyle Tucker, RBI leader in the American League. I think that the Twins have a really solid outfield unit, but I don't see any stars. The Astros have stars, and that's not even including the stud that they have DHing who can play the outfield. I think the X factor of this entire postseason will be what can you get out of Michael Brantley. Because the guy rolls out of bed and hits 300. He's in the twilight of his career. He's been pretty good, 15 games. If you can even recapture a little bit of what Brantley was, yeah, all of a sudden you're looking at maybe the deepest lineup outside of the Braves in this playoff series. So, yeah, again, in Minnesota does what they do. It's a lot of, like you said, Piranhas, a lot of good players. Nobody that might scare you, but it's kind of death by a million paper cuts. But you have a lot of guys in this Houston outfield who can kill you with one swing of the bat, like Tucker. So I'm giving the edge to Houston here, though. I do like the platoon group that they have in Minnesota with that.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot argue against it's one of the absolute best outfields in all of baseball. I mean, McCormick's been awesome. Jordan, he'll be getting time out there. It doesn't matter who does it. And I love Michael Taylor. He's just one of those guys I love. But it's Kyle Tucker. He's Gold Glover out there. It's the Astros all day. That's a terrifying part of their lineup. And all they need to do is kind of just catch the ball in the outfield, and they're gonna steamroll. That lineup's terrifying. That part of the lineup.
Jordan Alvarez, I had him slated as DH because I thought that was a slam dunk. I would put him at this point. Run prevention is just so important. I know he's better than you would think in left field, but if you can have premium defense in the outfield, I would take it. I would DH Alvarez. So I think in any type of DH comparison in that case, then you're taking Jordan Alvarez. Because, if the Twins DH Royce Lewis or they DH Joey Gallo, whatever their kind of matchup is, it's just going to fall short of. It's going to fall short. Now, bench-wise, though, I would give the edge to the Twins. I think the Twins have a deeper bench. Obviously, it's basically been the entire point of the show.
Yeah, they're so deep, you don't even know who they're going to play. I mean, yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And I think Houston's got some good pieces on their bench as well. Dubon's had a solid year for them. But just with the amount of, not potential matchup nightmares, but the amount of matchups that Baldelli can go with, he's going to try to kind of chess piece this thing together. It should be an exciting managerial matchup to look out for. But yeah, I think the Twins thrive off of depth. I think it's a big reason why they find themselves where they are right now.
Dave, who would you rather have managing the White Sox in this series? Dusty Baker or Rocco Baldelli?
Dusty. I love Dusty Baker. I love the old school guys, so long as they're competently old school, not Tony La Russa. It's Dusty. I need that. I want that toothpick being shoved down my face on my TV for as long as I live. It's Dusty Baker.
I love Dusty Baker, even though he ran the Cubs into the ground.
He did. And he's been a horrible fucking postseason manager.
He's taken everybody to the playoffs, though. Everywhere he goes.
To the playoffs, and then he blows it. He was such a fucking bad manager in Washington. But sometimes your team's just so good, you don't really you just need to be there. And for that reason, I'm taking Dusty.
What I like about Dusty Baker is he does not ask a lot from his players, and they just still love showing up for him every day. He keeps it fucking casual, and I think that's a reason why he's been able to stay with the modern game.
I agree. He's not going to overthink in October, which I think a lot of managers have a tendency to do when it gets them into trouble. I think he'll play it safe and simple. Having that roster, being as talented as it is, definitely helps. But yeah, with the experience, and look, we won the World Series last year. I'm giving the edge to Dusty.
Do you think the Twins can win this series, White Sox, Dave?
I do not. I mean, I would be pretty fucking stunned. I would be surprised if they scratch. It's a It's a 5-game series, correct? I think it'll be over 4 at most.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more confident in the Twins. I might get burned by them. I like Houston in the series, for the record. But I see a pathway to Minnesota being what Philly was for the first 2 rounds last year, which is you have 2 really good starting pitchers who are going to give you 6 innings plus, and then after that you can play the matchups and hopefully your bullpen holds up, which they did in that series against the Blue Jays. And I'd say a 4-game series here, giving Houston the edge. But I think we're going to see some close games here. Minnesota's feeling themselves right now. They got the monkey off their back. They're ready to roll.
And I know that this Twins team has absolutely zero to do with the team that started that 35 or whatever game it was losing streak in the playoffs. I just don't see, like, everybody's going to, like, you're going to have to see Correa have a series where he has a 400 average and 3 bombs. And Sonny Gray's going to have to, like, he's going to have to be fucking good. I think that Framber Valdez neutralizes a lot of the power on Minnesota because, I mean, they rely on, like, Kepler and Kirilloff and left-handed power. You're not going to get that, you know? So, I don't know. I think it's over in 4. However, Twins bullpen is fucking filthy. Like they got some filth in the back of their bullpen. So maybe they go on like a Royals like run where they just pepper the ball and find holes and you know, are little gnats on the baseball field and they get some timely bombs from the guys they absolutely need them from. But I think that is like best case scenario for them. And it's I would never bet on a team that has to be best case scenario to advance.
Well said.
When I watch Yelmer Duran pitch, I question how anyone has ever hit a baseball. I mean, just some of the nastiest stuff I've ever seen. I mean,
it's hit a ball about 500 feet against him this year, and I swear to God, it's the most improbable thing that's ever happened.
It's insane.
The worst hitter in baseball hitting a ball off the filthiest pitcher in baseball, like a mile.
Who did you say? Colton Wong?
Lennon Sosa, the guy the Sox are trying at second base.
Classic.
But yeah, he's absolutely unhittable. And if they ride him like a fullback, like Mike Allstott, like, you know, he's getting 2 innings a night, maybe. We'll see if he's up to that.
I think the big takeaway for me is this is much closer than I would have thought if I was a casual baseball fan, sports fan, etc. When you're running this matchup, the Twins are 2 for their last 20 in the MLB playoffs. The Astros have been in the championship series, I believe, every year for the last 6 years.
Every year since 17. It's a fucking wild run, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two, they won it twice, right?
They've won it twice, and they've won 4 pennants. They lost from the World Series. So, I mean, it's an American League, if there's such thing. It's an American League dynasty that they have.
If they win it, this is dynasty. This is absolutely a dynasty.
If they win the whole thing this year, you have to call it a dynasty.
But I think the Twins have a very fair shot to send them home. As strong as maybe anybody's had in a division series against the Astros over this run.
I would agree.
Are you betting them on?
No, the Yankees at one time. Or was it the ALCS?
That was the championship series. They haven't really been tested. They had one 5-game series against the Rays in 19, but that Cole went out game 5 and shoved, and you knew that he would. So yeah, no, that's legitimate. This is a legit opponent.
I'm very surprised that they are plus 140 on the series. That's actually a lot better odds than the Phillies are plus 150 and the Diamondbacks are plus 190 against the Braves and Dodgers. So Twins do have, outside of Texas, they have the best odds in the divisional series as far as an underdog is concerned. So maybe Vegas does see something in them that I don't. I think that the Astros pretty much put them on their knee and give them a little spanking, though.
I think that's the perfect way to end it, Dave. Thanks for coming on. I love your insight. Always a pleasure talking baseball with you. Castellani,
nice being able to yes.
Yeah, and I think there's brighter days ahead for you, Dave.
They're very far in the distance. I do not see any path in the next 5 years for the White Sox. Oh, I'm proven wrong, but I am, as a White Sox fan, I assume they're going to be horrible until they play their last game of the season. I don't care if it's middle of September and they just crossed the 100 win threshold. I will assume that they will fuck something up until they don't fuck something. So that's where I'm at.
Subscribe wherever you guys find the show.
Yeah.
We'll be back next time. Thanks, Dave.